Yes. What's the outstanding warrant? I work for the RCMP. I work for the RCMP. So please tell me, what is the warrant?
We can get that, but right now...
Yeah, let's get it.
No, because they put it out the day before.
The day before. And I put to the Attorney General, letting them know that that is a force. I know.
No, you're not torturing me.
You're not gonna, no, you're not. It's not go, 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 go. It's not go, 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 go. It's not go, 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 go. Y'all is not going to do this. You stop. You're not taking my brother. You are not taking my brother. You are not.
Get back.
That's assault. That is 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 assault. That's my son. That is my son. And that is my brother. No, that is a false warrant. It is a false warrant. What are you arresting him for?
He has an
What
outstanding warrant.
is the warrant? Where's the warrant? Show me the warrant. Show me the warrant. Show me the warrant.
You need to back
Show
up,
no.
man.
Please.
No, you need to back up.
Hey, why are you handling me? 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 Ted, why?
Wait. Wait.
Out of Saskatchewan.
No! That's a false warrant! It is a false warrant! It's a false warrant! It is a false warrant!
You need to step over here.
It is a false warrant!
Man,
My brother was
you need to
tortured.
step back
Listen,
here.
my name is Asher.
step over there.
My brother was tortured. My brother was tortured. They put him inside of a hospital and drugged him. Why? For what? Let me go, please. Let me go. Let me go. No. No. No, you guys, listen to me. Listen to me. No, you can't tell me that. When the police took him, the RCP that I damn well worked for, I worked for them. And they took my brother illegally. A false warrant the day before? Is this precog? Is this the Minority Report? Come on now.
I don't know the situation.
Except what I'm telling you. I'm telling you. This is what it is. And you're not listening. My God, go to YouTube. My brother put them out. He posted them out. They drugged them. My mother had to go get him with antipsychotic medication.
No, is there a warrant?
Yeah, there's a warrant. No, it's Saskatchewan. Because they want to take him back there to go and kill him off. Oh my God.
I don't know about
No, I'm telling you. I'm telling you guys. I am telling you guys. It's the truth. What are we gonna lie for?
All we know is if something pops up like that, we have to have a
You know what?
process to go through.
Oh my God.
What we're doing right
You know
now.
what? If anything happens to my brother,
Nothing's gonna happen to him.
No. You can't tell me that.
I can
because
tell you
they
that.
put.
I know these
really.
people.
No. No, they took my brother. Listen
This
to
is
me.
your brother?
That's my brother. My mother is a nurse, retired nurse,
Sure.
and she had to ask them, "What do you want to do? Kill my son?" Double. Drugging him up for what? Giving 2 iron, which goes straight into your bloodstream. My God, they could have antipsychotic medication for what? And he's not crazy. And they're going to give this him, and they use the RCMP. They use the RCMP.
Okay, but we're not going to give him anything.
But
All we do is contact who we need to contact.
Yeah, to transport him out to Saskatchewan, because this is what Saskatchewan wanted to do. Just because he was, I'm telling you, because he was taking the SHA.
But we don't.
Oh my God, I know you guys want us to calm down, but you know what the thing is? I am tired. I'm tired.
I know. I get you're frustrated. We don't know the backside
No,
of this.
no, y'all don't.
Look me, they're in front of the courthouse.
Yes.
I've never heard this in my life.
Go inside
The
and talk.
RCMP
Yeah. Okay.
took him
I would love.
and take him into Nancy.
It's super cold out here. If we can all keep calm.
So this is a big problem. These guys are border service agents. they're trained in the torture convention. They know that once, and they have witnesses. People come and show up at the border and say I was tortured, and they can't send them over there. They know full well. Now you've got witnesses saying that they witnessed the torture, and that they can't do that. They can't do that. Second thing, in Canada, it's like a federal system does not have a provincial warrant. A warrant like that, resisting arrest in such a place like that, wouldn't even be in the entire province. Secondly, it was a false warrant. Third, I ended up coming through when I was deported, I went through customs. It wasn't there. So would it just magically appeared into a federal system like that? No. I asked for freedom of information request for this. They haven't given it to me. And it's like, well, it's like 2.5 years later. I wonder why. Because I asked for the camera footage. I asked for like everything relating to that and the warrant and everything else like that. Still have not got anything to this day, right? Because they know that they did something wrong. You see, one of those Canadian agents came across to the Sweetgrass side after I was denied entry, and I'll actually play the clip of what the guy said to me when he denied entry, because I think a lot of people will get a kick out of that. Let me just find it here. He told me that I can't enter the United States to report treason because I'm not vaccinated. And let's get that up here. Just so that people can see this, so that they can sit down and see the vaccination program that Biden put
I
out.
covered tons of protests, marches, and rallies, and on the Canadian border, we knew that they weren't letting people in because of the vaccination reason. But have you gotten any justice? Is there any lawyer that's helped you? Has anybody been prosecuted for raping your daughter?
No,
Nope.
the guy even confessed to it, and they did not do anything. And as for the border, that guy taking to consideration, one of the police or one of the border agents told them, "Oh, I know these guys. They're not going to do anything." What do you mean you know these guys? How do you, a border agent, know the people who were doing this operation to us in North Battleford, Saskatchewan? Anyway, sorry, Dad, you were saying.
What does your sister say if she works for the Canadian government? What are people telling you? What are officials telling you? How are you supposed to handle this?
Keisha worked for
I worked for the provincial government in Saskatchewan.
Her sister, my little daughter, is only 5 years old. She's and so, I mean, at the end of the day, nothing's happened. The people in the United States, they've done nothing. DHS has done nothing. Keisha's had to call the police in courts to get them to file. Like, I've even had to call police. Like here, when I went to go and file complaints, the RCMP threatened to arrest me. I could see them putting their gloves on when I went to go and file high treason and tell them that this was connected to the existing treason investigation that they had into the Winnipeg biolabs. And so they're trying to like arrest me for that. So I had to call the police in the police station saying that the guy's intimidating me. And so we literally have like the brown church running around here in Canada.
And it doesn't matter if there's a vaccination. It doesn't matter if there's a vaccination schedule or prohibition. You can't prevent someone from coming into the country to report treason against the United States because of a vaccination. You're going to let your entire country die because of a vaccination status? That doesn't even make sense.
We're watching that happen right now with the World Health Organization pandemic agreement. We're in trouble. So this is just another situation where it's completely shocking what's happening. And I'm wondering why there's no lawyer involved. Can you find a lawyer in Canada?
Because everybody is too afraid, because inside those documents, there's a lot of judges in Canada and the United States implicated. Because treason, you don't have a right to sit down and say, I'm gonna ignore treason. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a judge. You can't sit down and say, well, no, we're just gonna ignore the treason because you lose your damn country. What are you, nuts? And like, when you're a judge, I don't care what court you're in. It's called Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution of the United States. That's binding on every judge in every court. It doesn't matter if you're a judge or not. You're American. There's no branch of the government that's responsible. That means we, the people, are responsible for that. And anybody with any lick of sense knows that you don't ignore treason, because if they're successful with the treason, guess what? You don't have a country. You're living in totalitarianism, and we're all China. Who wants that? Nobody. Certainly no
Yes.
lawyer. Nobody
That's what we're
took this.
finding. I mean, I know a lot of activists in Canada, and we're finding out that Canada is one of the most oppressive countries in the world now. I know Jody Ledgerwood, I know Chris Eriks. I mean, it's a long list. So I'm just wondering if there's a lawyer in Canada, because I don't know Canadian law, but is there a lawyer that will help you in Canada?
I have yet to find one, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I've done a lot of this stuff. I've actually had lawyers in the States and even lawyers in Canada look at the stuff. A lot of lawyers like will quietly say that they're very happy with what I'm doing, but they know if they ever went in a courtroom like that, they would get destroyed. Because I mean, I call out anybody. If you're a criminal, I don't care, right? Like, I don't care if you're a judge. I've told judges, I've got videos on my ex where I told the judges, get off the bench. I said, you're a traitor. I'm not going to sit there and take anything from you. And because the documents that they have in front of me, and they're like, well, why don't they give you contempt? They should give you contempt. I'm like, if they gave me contempt, then those documents that are sitting in front of them have to go in as my defense. And then they'll be like, well, why are you giving this contempt for bringing you a delivery system for biological weapons and giving, like, outlining treason? The judge would get killed, right? Nobody would
Yeah.
tolerate that. So this is why they just sit there and take it, because they're criminals. But somebody
Yeah.
needs to stand up and do something. This is why we're going to the elected officials, because we've demonstrated that on both sides of the border, in Canada, United States, and for people talking about the WHO, we've got the WHO implicated in high treason in Canada and treason against the United States, because we have them tied through Dr. John Conley at the Alberta Health Services. And this is why these petitions are important, that you go and ram them down the throat of the elected officials, because you own those houses. Even here in Canada, we were able to go in and get that petition redress. And actually, we can go in and pressure our government. So can you, because you guys have it expressly written in your constitution, and make them put that to the floor, because there is no option for a public servant to tell you that you cannot have your redress of grievances. That is your constitutional right. And when that grievance is treason, and the court system, the administration, the law enforcement, and all these other areas are involved in it, they have no choice but to deal with it. Because
Okay, I have a question. So are you giving me Canadian laws, or are you giving me American laws?
Both of them. Canadian law.
You're mixing Canadian and American laws together?
Because the principle of comedy, because they had Canadians helping Americans commit treason in the United States, yet Americans helping Canadians commit treason in Canada, and they were working together. And so we get to mix and match the laws, and we get to use the best of both sides. And so that's really fair. That's the way it works. You have to respect the judicial decisions of other countries, right? We can't sit down and say, well, that's not expressly written here in Canada, so you can go ahead and take away the Republic from the United States. That's way off base. Releasing a biological weapon against another country, that's called an act of war. This is the reason why Putin is in the Ukraine, right? At the end of the day, the Americans, if you guys had control of your country, could walk in here and just say, we're shutting it down, and too bad. You don't like it,
Yep.
too bad, because you don't do that kind of filth to somebody, right?
Yep.
That's really it. That's the end of
Well-
story. So people.
Okay, so I have
Go ahead.
about 5 more minutes and to just put this into perspective. So what do you want done in Canada, and what do you want done in the United States of America? We have 5 minutes.
I will say that we need to get people, okay, and if you're in Alberta, you need to get down to Alberta, and you need to start supporting the people that want to come out and get this done. We had the UCP party whip come down and ask for the help of the people. So come out and start supporting. If you're in Michigan, Texas, or Colorado, then you need to start helping and getting things done. Keisha right now is in Colorado. They can use some help to get this thing put to the floor. And guys in Texas, you better start stepping up. Keisha, you can go out and talk about that too. About what you're
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah, we gave the petition from the CARES project to Senator Mark Baisley at a couple weeks ago here in Colorado, and he said he would hear it on the floor. And we're, going to try and keep pushing to make sure that we hold their feet to the fire, and we're going to try and do it the same thing in a few other states as well. So if you're interested in doing that, then reach out to us and we'll try to get together and do that. We actually had an event and a bunch of people come. There was Maureen Steele and Ann Vandersteel, and we were able to share some stories of different people and live stream it so people could have an understanding of what's going on and see that the people are actually coming together and that they're not alone in, what they're seeing going on and what they're experiencing, and that we're actually taking tangible steps and actions going forward to make the difference that we need to see in the country and get our rights established as we the people. So
Okay, so
if
you're
you're,
saying that what you served with Ann Vandersteel was actually the CARES?
it was an
CARES
it's the
project.
it's the
or was it
documents from the CARES project. Yes,
Yes.
okay, or was it her
it,
the generation, the Maureen Steele's generation?
No, I
no,
constructed that document.
it's
I
my
wrote
father's
the
documents.
petition.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
what
wrote the
Ann
brief.
Vandersteel served in Colorado, or what Maureen Steele served in Colorado, was actually a document that you created in Canada.
Yes, absolutely. The one that was served in Texas, I also did that. The one in Michigan, I also
Yeah.
took that. I took their evidence and I compiled it. I wrote the entire document, like I put together the appendix. Yes, that was done
Yeah,
by
and I
me
made that
100%.
Yeah, and I made that clear to Senator Mark Baisley when I spoke to him when we were serving it on the live stream or whatever, that it was my father's documents.
And it's centered around the engineering report that exposes the treason at the first step of the pandemic response, which makes the entire pandemic response treason. And that means the entire election interference, everything that was done as a result of that COVID response is treason, terrorism, and a whole bunch of nasty laws. They're all dead in the water. And this is why their first response was just get rid of them, because it would have stopped everything dead in its tracks if they actually introduced it. And be based on the treaties, Canada was obligated to inform the Americans from the time they got in their hands, and they concealed it. So, you can thank for having Biden in for so long, burning your country down.
Well, how do people reach you if they want to help and do what you guys are doing?
Well, you can reach me at DJS Richardson on Twitter, Truth or Getter. I mean, you can go to www.dsrcaresconsulting.com. There's also the CARES project. There's a page for the CARES project, the action plan, so you can get the documents that you need to go ahead and start getting this out to your people. We're going to get the stuff updated for Colorado for the action plan, and Texas and Michigan. We've got one there from Alberta. If you want to go ahead and just adapt it for where you're at, you're more than welcome to. Just start getting it out, and there's contact information, so you can reach me there in case you can give out your social media stuff for yourself as well.
Yeah,
Thank
you can
you
follow.
So much.
Yes, of course. You can follow the CARES project on Twitter, as well as Rumble. That's where we stream as well. We also have Facebook. You can follow my personal account, which is Kaysha, KAYSHARIC, and get in contact with us there. Send us a DM or something, and we'll do our best to respond in a timely manner.
I'm so grateful for your story. This is never ending. It's just never ending in Canada. Just shocking. So,
And the United States, unfortunately.
Yes, it's never ending. But in the United States, we have the Second Amendment, so we have the right to bear arms. So it's not going to end in the same way that it'll end in Canada. I mean, do you think that Trudeau will ever have another election?
No, he's not. This is going to get stopped. And in Canada, we don't. The one thing that we have in Canada, all we need to do is take control of one province. And in Alberta, we have a very good situation because we have no federal court system. It's all done within the provinces. So if you want to start investigations, all you need is control of one province, and you can put out Canada-wide warrants and yank them all here and start trying them. And so Alberta is a lot further ahead, and this is why we needed support here in Alberta, because we want to start it because we're tired of having a dictator ruling over us, right?
Yes.
And
When is the next election supposed to be for Trudeau in Canada?
2025, but we won't last. If you guys don't get Trump in 2024, we're done. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, if we don't stop what they're doing with this pandemic, we're all done. So we need to
Yeah.
start acting now.
So Dale, what do you think is the next step? What are they going to throw at us to try to interfere with our election in 2024 in America?
Well, I mean, they're going to try the pandemic. They're going to try World War III. They're going to try anything. They're going to throw everything at us. Anything with the kitchen sink. They're actually, they'll throw that too. They're desperate, right? So we need to expose them,
Yep.
and we need to go at them. And we have the law on our side, and they're not ready to shoot us down in the streets. So let's go and expose them and get the guys that are wanting to do their jobs in law enforcement, all these other areas, the backing that they need to go out and start arresting these criminals, because they want to arrest them too, right? I had some RCMP that wanted to do their jobs, and they helped me. And there's a few hundred cops in Edmonton that they were being tortured so that they couldn't investigate, right? They were literally told that if they investigated these crimes, they're going to throw them in the mental institution. They segregated them from the other guys and put them through hell. Those guys want to arrest those guys just as much as we do. So we need to give them the backing that they need so they can start arresting those criminals, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I hope that you guys can figure out which direction to go in now, because this is getting really serious in Canada, and it is really serious in America. I agree with you, Dale. I'm not sure that Canada will ever see another election, and America definitely is coming into November 2024 with an election that will have so much election corruption. I don't know how we're going to get through it.
Well, I mean, that's why we need to start praying, and we need to get back to God, because at the end of the day, I mean, there's too many cowards, and I'll put this a lot on the men, because most of the people I see doing this fight are women. And men, you need to find a spine, right? Gideon was a coward. He was hiding in the threshing floor. But you go to God, humble yourself. This whole problem started when men walked away from God. When they walked away from God, they became tyrannical in their homes. When they became tyrants in their home, so the pedophiles created feminism as an option for women to create this entire situation that we saw here now, because it created the division in the home, and eventually they got the mother and the father into the workforce. Guess who's watching your kid? The state. This is how they broke our societies down and put us in this position. The only way we're going to get back is men need to get back and do what God created them to do, lead their families, and go in front and take the bullets. Because when they were storming the beaches on Normandy, I was talking to a guy, and he was telling them they got a pork chop dinner with like mashed potatoes and everything else like that the day before. And they were like, what the hell was that? And then they got on the boats, and they realized that a lot of them were throwing up their dinners, but they ended up all storming the beach, watching their guys getting gunned down, but it needed to get done. And this is what the men need to get up and do. You need to go back and be that way. And if you don't got the courage, you got to go to God, because he'll give you the courage. And that's really it. Time to go back to God, Ben. Lead your families, lead your churches, and lead your nation.
God bless you. Thank you. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you. Thank you, Keisha. Thank you, Dale. God bless you. Peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I am going to conclude another episode of the America Happens News on the America Happens Network. This is a 5-hour show, so I do get a little wiped out, but the bottom line is that we are in trouble in America. We are in trouble in Canada. We're in trouble around the world. And it's time for freedom fighters to unite peacefully. Peacefully, of course. I am in Washington, D.C., documenting the federal government overreach. Today was out of control in U.S. federal court with the January 6th political prisoner situation. Everyone needs to be really clear that if we do not get President Donald Trump back into the White House by January of 2025, we may lose Washington, D.C. I really do not see very many people in Congress getting anything done. We have 535 elected officials in Congress who we don't even know if they were fairly or unfairly elected. And we have election corruption in the United States of America that is out of control. There is a specific case that I'm watching because I watch over the federal court in Washington, D.C. There's a very specific case going on with Daniel Goodwin, where he is a J6 political prisoner. He served his time in jail, and now his judge, one of the most corrupt men I have ever seen as a judicial officer, his name is Judge Reggie Walton. Judge Reggie Walton wants to actually have the right to have the government keep track of everything that Daniel Goodwin has on his computer. So that's really serious. Wait, I just saw someone who's been on our show before, and I want to bring him back because maybe he's a piece of this puzzle as to how to get America back into, how do we save America? Tell us everything, Mr. Downing. Thank you for being so patient and coming in. I didn't know you were here. What's going on? Can you hear us? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Mr. Downing is serving very powerful elected officials. Can you hear us? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. We can't hear you. I'm not sure what to do. Let me try it again. I don't know if this is on our side or his side. Testing. Go for it. Okay, so leave and come back in. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Got me there?
Oh, we can hear you now. Listen, I love Rumble, and I'll talk about that later, but on Rumble, we're not going to get censored. On CloudHub, we're not going to get censored. We may get censored on X, but I want to know exactly what you're doing. Let's go for it, because my last guest is from the CARES Project. When you serve the people, the elected officials that you're serving, what is the paperwork that you're serving?
So as an elected official, we all have a duty to care for those below us. I took an oath just like every other public official, and that oath for me is perpetual, and it's self-executing, and I have an obligation to fulfill it. So on November 19th, 1996, I took an oath that I would support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Therefore, when I received even an honorable discharge, what's known as an RER1 discharge, which means that I am fully reinstatable, that the military can call me back at any point in time, then that means that oath remains, and it remains binding to me. And so the only thing that gives a judge the right to be able to be a judge is his oath, right? And so likewise, when we take an oath to the Constitution of the United States and to support our country and defend it, we need to honor that oath. But what you need to remember is that it doesn't say that there's going to be anybody there with you, right? It doesn't say that there's going to be reinforcement. There's no guarantee that you'll even survive it if you choose to do the right thing and stand up for it. But you don't have a choice on standing up for it, right? And so even though nobody supported me, even though I was all by myself, I still had an obligation to do it. And that's why I think that we're starting to change and curb some of the things that's going on here, is because I do honestly think that I think that people are starting to see that individually they all have to make a choice. Individually, they all have to decide which side of the law they want to be on, and so making the choice to fulfill your oath, be a man of your word, be a man of integrity. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some sacrifice, and it's not going to put you into a comfortable position. But it's a position that we all need to accept, and we all need to be willing to do. So for me, you know, I knew that when this started, I knew that I didn't want to leave this for my son. I mean, what kind of father would I be if I knew the things I knew, saw the things I saw, and then I said, well, you know what? It'll cost me too much to take it. You know, think about what it'll cost me. No. Think about what it's going to cost him if I leave this for him. I may not win, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to take down as much of this as possible because I'm not going to leave this for my son to have to deal with. So when I committed to doing this 9 years ago, and you know, I kept my head down for 9 years. I built this whole case. I got us to this point without bringing my head up because I needed to be very, very careful because I knew the animal that I was dealing with here. And I knew how dangerous it was because I'd worked with it for many, many years. But ultimately, you know, one of the things that a point that I like to make is that, you know, I've had dinner with a couple governors and a couple senators and judges, all kinds. And every single one of them had told me that I'm doing the right thing and that they believe in it, and that they'll support it privately, but they will not support it publicly. And the reason why is because, you know, what I'm saying to do is so contrary to what our beliefs are. I mean, we've grown so accustomed to just imprisoning people, throwing them off, you know, send them away and saying, you know, you don't deserve love anymore. We've completely destroyed the greatest treasure that America has, and that was our ability to be able to fight alongside each other, love each other, care for each other, and through that love, we're able to bring about some pretty amazing things. But we've lost all that.
I want to know who you're serving and what you're serving. What are you serving and who are you serving?
We are serving the attorney generals of the states, because the state attorney general is the chief legal officer of the state. He's responsible for the enforcement element of the state governments. So when the enforcement branch is not enforcing the laws properly, then we need to bring it to the leadership's attention. Now, he may already be aware of it. I don't know. But what I do know is that when we bring notice to him and we deliver a criminal affidavit that down the specific crime. Are you serious?
So weird. Every time I try to interview you about who you're serving and what you're serving, all tech falls apart. So whatever you're doing is getting heavily attacked by whoever's in charge. But I mean, forget all the other sidebar stuff. Who are you serving and what are you serving? What paperwork are you actually serving and who are you serving it to? This is really funny.
I'm so tired of technology here.
This is Mr. Down. Yes. And every time I try to interview him about specifically who are you serving and what are you serving, he's serving state attorney generals and he is on the road serving them. I want to know, what are you serving and who are you serving?
Come on now.
That's the most important thing. Just go on and come back on. Just go on and come back on. This is so interesting. We have a gentleman going across America serving secretaries of state and district attorneys. I don't know. But the bottom line is that what is he serving and who is he serving? And I hope he can get back in because this is really important news. Once again, every time I try to interview him, all of the internet gets cut off and we lose service, which is so bizarre. I very rarely have a guest like this. No video feed. So interesting. Not sure what's going on. What do we do? How do we handle this? Let's try again. Can you hear us? Okay, so you have so we're going to have to do this again on Monday because once again, the tech is falling apart. But I just need to know, who are you serving and what are you actually serving them? What is the document you're serving them? What are you actually serving? Can you hear us? He's serving state attorney generals, and every time I try to get him on the show, the tech crashes and burns. Isn't that weird? It is so weird. Every time I try to get this man on the show, the tech crashes and burns. I don't have a producer for this show, so not really sure what to do. We are going to have a problem in the future with tech, and we have to be prepared for that. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. Can you hear us? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear us? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Are you serious right now?
Testing, 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 1, 2, 3. Can you hear us? This always happens.
I got nothing.
This is a gentleman named
I don't get it.
Tanawa.
I'm so tired of this.
So shocking. Every time I try to interview him about who he's serving and what he's serving,
This is so stupid.
tech just crashes. It falls apart.
God
I find this to
damn
be
it.
very interesting, and that's why at the America Happens News, we do the highest level of the news, and we're going to have major problems. You can just tell
Damn it, man.
we're about to have major problems with the internet. We'll try it one more time. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear us? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't work. So intriguing to me. When you have the highest level of the news, right now, my whole Instagram crashed on my main phone, which I find so interesting. I have never seen Instagram crash like this. We're in trouble that we are so dependent on the internet. My whole life is dependent on the internet. That's going to have to change. That's one thing that happened, especially during COVID, that they made us totally dependent on the internet. So the highest level news I can give to you right now is that it's time to not be dependent on the internet. We have really serious issues going on in America, and it's time to go back to farming. It's time to go back to the town that you live in the county that you live in, the town, the county, and that's what's going to matter. You need to secure a safe place to live with internet that works as best as you can get it, and you need to have your own water source and your own food supply, and pray that you are armed to the teeth to be able to withstand any attacks in case you're sitting on gold, in case you're sitting on alcohol, in case you're sitting on anything that people would want. We don't know how serious this is going to get in November 2024 with the election corruption. So I think it's time to actually build some type of a Harriet Tubman type of situation where people who are in danger have a safe place to retreat to, because America is not the country of the free anymore, but we better be the land of the brave. So once again, we have complete technical difficulties with this particular guest, and he is actually on the road right now serving district attorneys across America, and we're going to have to figure out on Monday, we will start this again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We go about 5 hours on the America Happens News. If you understand what's really going on in America, it is time to fund independent journalists 100% who are real. And at the America Happens Network, you can see the variety of our shows, and you can see how real we are. I've been in U.S. federal court. I've been filming the show for 5 hours. I'm exhausted, but I'm here to be of service to the goodness and to God. So I just pray that whatever you saw in this particular show, you guys all stand up for General Flynn. I have to say this. General Flynn is one of my favorite men alive on planet Earth. I like him so much that I won't even take $1 from any of the money that he makes from me promoting his books, his movie. Wherever General Flynn is, we are all meeting in Detroit, Michigan. Oh my, on June 6th, 2024 for the next Clay Clark show. Now, this may be the final Clay Clark show. I just don't even know. But the bottom line is that General Flynn's movie is one of the most touching movies you'll ever sit through, and it explores and documents the persecution of General Flynn by the U.S. federal government. You go to watchflynn.com. I stand with General Flynn. I pray that President Trump chooses him to be his vice president. Not sure if that could even happen, but everything General Flynn does, super love his son, General Flynn Jr. Please follow it. We're going to try one more time. Are you there?
I am.
Okay, good. So we have like maybe less than 10 minutes. I need to know exactly what your name is, who you're serving, and what you're serving. Just 3 things. What are you serving and who are you serving?
Why am I frozen up again?
Isn't this wild? We get attacked.
Are you serious?
No, it's okay. Just talk. It's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
This is ridiculous. Like okay, guys. So you got to understand. You know, I need a new phone. I'm gonna have to make some changes. My name is Tanwa Downing, and I'm out here destroying what we thought was real. All right, because ever since our government has been in existence, it has been undermining the very principles that all of you believe in, that I believe in. They have been destroying our system of government in order to advance their interests. Okay.
So who are you serving and what are you serving?
I am bringing to the United States, to attorney generals, every single one of state attorney generals, notice that their agents are enforcing the laws in violation of the United States Constitution. If you do not follow the procedures and processes specifically enumerated and codified in the Constitution in your pursuance of an outcome, whether it's removal of a child from a family, whether it is locking a person up in prison, whether it is a guardianship, if you do not follow the procedures, then you have produced something that is unconstitutional. And everybody, what I have and what I'm delivering to these attorney generals, it destroys the entire system.
What do you have? What paperwork are you serving? Who wrote the paperwork? Where's the paperwork from?
So the paperwork is from witnesses that have lived through these particular events. So let me go ahead and say that a great example, and the easiest one is this. Clause 1 of Amendment 5 to the United States Constitution says, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury. That's clear. You must have an indictment by a grand jury before arresting someone and holding them over for an infamous crime. That's clear. Now, Article 1, Section 26 of Washington State's Constitution says no grand jury shall be drawn or summoned in any county. So Washington State's Constitution functions directly to the contrary of the United States Constitution, and now we have a supremacy issue. Now we need to deal with preemption and determine whose laws are supreme. However,
okay, who wrote this paperwork that you're serving?
I did. I did.
Okay.
I did. But I'm going to get there.
Okay.
But you need to understand that Washington State has a provision in its Constitution that anybody can read right now and see that it is directly to the contrary of the United States Constitution. And now we understand that every single person imprisoned in the state of Washington is there illegally and unconstitutionally because the state didn't follow the procedures to put them there. It's not just Washington. There's 23 other states. So we've got half of our country, half the prisoners that we locked up on direct facial constitutional violations because they did not receive an indictment by grand jury despite the fact it was required. That's a big deal, guys, right? Big deal. And the government doesn't like it. So the paperwork that I have is I'm simply getting the evidence from the witnesses because every single one of these people that have had a child taken from them or has been charged with a crime or convicted of a crime, they are all witnesses. This has happened to them. This felony has occurred. And so when a government official chooses to rely upon an inferior state law, such as the Washington State's Constitution, to deprive a person of a right guaranteed by the United States Constitution, they just committed a crime. Title 18, subsection 242, deprivation of rights in a common law. That's a felony. And it's a per se offense, meaning that you don't have to show that they intended to breach their obligation simply by virtue of the breach. All elements of crime have been met and they've already implicitly invited punishment should they fail to fulfill the promise. So this is a very simple process. All I have to do is show that they had an obligation, constitutionally codified, and they didn't fulfill it. And in doing so, now you have guilt of the government official, which nullifies all of the judgments and actions of the people. So if government breaches the Constitution in order to secure an outcome, then that means that everything that they do must also be unconstitutional because you cannot have a constitutional outcome result from an unconstitutional act. So you cannot break the law in order to enforce the law. I'm not saying that anyone's innocent. I'm not saying they're even good, but what I'm saying is that if we're being led by criminals, then don't hold the people accountable for their crimes until you hold yourself accountable. I want these government officials to understand that just like I had to make the decision 9 years ago to stand up, do what's right, even if I'm in opposition, even if it's contrary to everything I stood for and built in my own, in my own life, I have to do that. Because
Okay,
it's the
got
right
it.
thing to
I
do.
got it. But I'm saying the actual paperwork that you're serving, who wrote that? You wrote that?
I did. Yeah.
Okay,
I
and
did.
then how, after you serve the attorney generals and they ignore you and don't respond to you, how are you going to enforce this?
We'll get there. We'll get there. But I need to finish serving first.
How many have you served and how many do you have to serve?
I served 18 and we're trying to get to the two-thirds mark. So we need to have 2/3 of the state, which is a constitutional requirement for a couple of things to happen. I'm trying to reach the 2/3, which is 33. So we started with Washington as the primary respondent. So I need an additional 32, and I believe we did 18 today. So we did Oklahoma City today and General Drummond. So we're serving his agents, any one of the assistant attorney generals, or even a state patrol officer. As long as it's an enforcement element, then notice to agent is notice to principal. Remember, I'm not serving the attorney general because I'm not saying the attorney general did something wrong. I'm serving the state through its agent. The attorney general is the agent. He's not the one. He didn't create the law. The state created the laws, right? So it's the state that we're bringing this accusation against, but we have to bring it against one of their agents, and we can do that with any one of their enforcement agents. So once we serve, right, we bring it to their attention. We're drawing the line in the sand. We're going to give them a very short period of time between now and June 6th to decide which side of the law they want to be on, and ultimately, when we get there on June 6th, then we'll have to make another decision. We'll have to decide, but. They're going to make the right decision, but they're not going to make the right decision until their leadership decides to make the right decision. So they're going to continue to do things unlawfully, right? They're going to continue to do it until their leadership steps up and says, we're going to do the right thing. So this is really not about the attorney generals. This is about the 9 justices in Washington, D.C. stepping up and saying, I am what I say I am. If that court is in fact the Supreme Court, and if it has the power to do things that it says that it can do, if it enforces the rights of the people and the Constitution of the United States, if that's what it is, then it's time for it to stand up and do its job. Because all of these lower courts are more powerful than the highest court. We have a complete flip and everything. These lowest courts here in the states are taking away rights that court cannot take away. So I'm going to that court and I'm saying, either you are what you say you are, or you can go home and you no longer have power. You no longer have supremacy because,
they're going to ignore you. Do you get it?
No. There's certain ways that we're dealing with that. You see, well, we won't go into it now. We don't have time for that.
Okay.
That would be another discussion. But
okay.
they love to ignore, and that's perfectly fine. But we're not gonna allow that, right? There's an obligation that exists, and when the obligation is created, we aren't aware of that obligation yet. Nobody has the right to bring their case to the Supreme Court because we all believe that court is a court of discretion. But if that's not true, if that's a lie that derives from an unconstitutional decision or law that was created by Congress, then we have to assert the obligation that's codified in the Constitution, and we have to create it. And once created, then we have the right to bring our case to the Supreme Court. I'm creating the obligation. I'm showing that there was an obligation of the Supreme Court. They must fulfill that obligation. If they don't, then you have a public wronging, which still establishes rights. That's how the rights are created. They're created through the establishment of the obligation, showing that there was an obligation and failed to fulfill it. But,
so the Supreme Court can just ignore you. The Supreme Court doesn't even have to take your case. They can ignore you. I've been covering election corruption.
But therein lies the point is that they can't, because the obligation exists. When the law says that the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction, that's the law. That's an obligation. And so when they say that they're a court of discretion, and when Congress said that in 1925 in the Judicial Reform Act, they said, yeah, we're going to make the Supreme Court a court of discretion. Well, that would be modifying or altering the Constitution of the United States in a manner other than what's constitutional. Because you can't say that we're going to say that they're a court that can just pick and choose what they want to hear, even though the obligation of the Constitution says they have to hear it. In all cases in which the
Supreme Court of the United States of America has been picking and choosing whatever they want to hear. They don't hear all the cases. They pick and choose.
Okay. But you don't understand that there's an obligation that exists in the Constitution for them to hear it. The Constitution in Article 3 says in all cases in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. That is an obligation that's created, assigning the Supreme Court the obligation to hear a case if a state is named a party. So when in 1925, the Congress of the United States made the court a court of discretion and said, well, now they get to pick and choose which cases they want to hear, that would be Congress deciding to alter the Constitution in a manner other than what's lawful. They don't get to change the obligation contract because we have to do it. And until we change it and we say, no, Supreme Court, you don't have the obligation, then all that they've been doing is unconstitutional. It's not valid. That's the point, is that we're in this place right now because we didn't understand the deceptive nature of our own government and the things that they were doing to keep us from being able to understand the true power that we have, the power of the law. I mean, we have the power. They're afraid of it. Much more afraid than we are.
How do people donate to you?
So we have Cash App, we have Venmo, Chime, PayPal. I've got 13 states left to go. So they're all the same. It's We Shall Be Free. That's WESHALLBEFREE. We shall be free. And we'll make it there one way or another. But you guys don't worry about the details of Capitol Hill. I got those guys under control, right?
Don't worry about the details of what?
Don't worry about the details of the court. I've got the court under control, right? I've got the obligations that exist. No, there's very specific ways that they don't have a choice, and we've got to make it clear that they don't have a choice anymore. Because when you go them and you ask them to do something, you give them a choice. When you go there with a certiorari, because you don't understand that the certiorari is not valid either, when you do that, you're giving them a choice. They're my servant. I'm going to tell them what to do when I'm ready to tell them what to do. I'll be there on June 6th, and we'll tell them what to do. They have an obligation to do it. It's created in law. And if they don't want to do it, that's fine. Those 9 justices can tell 330 million Americans that what they believe in is not real and they're not going to follow it. But I don't think that they got the balls to do that. I really don't. I really, really don't. Because I can show the obligation. Because it's in the Constitution. There's nothing they can do to change it. And Congress, when it made the decision to make the Supreme Court a court of discretion in 1925 with the Judicial Reform Act, that's not valid. Because even acts of Congress must comply with the Constitution. If they don't, they are without force or effect.
Okay, well, I want you to come back when you are in perfect internet and perfect lighting, because once again, it's frozen. It doesn't work. And
I don't know what's going on. Yeah,
every time I try to interview you, everything falls apart. But I totally
everything's
understand,
falling apart,
and I appreciate you.
That's why I'm just going out. Yeah,
and we will keep track. And if you have something really serious happen, contact me. And I will expose the truth 24/7. I just want to see how this goes down with what you're doing, because you can serve them all you want, but they're going to ignore you. They ignore everything in the Supreme Court that's relevant.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. I got it under control. So we'll see. I just got to finish up the service.
Save America, Mr. Downing. Save America. We're watching you.
All right.
Okay. God bless you. Peace. Thank you. Yes, that is Mr. Downing. He has become one of my very favorite people because he's just so interesting. But in the end, the Supreme Court of the United States of America has ignored very serious litigation that Mike Lindell and others have brought to the Supreme Court about election corruption. What I've really noticed and what I've really been reporting on in U.S. Congress, and I took my time, I waited a couple of years just to see how everything was panning out, but I have never met a congressperson in Senate and or in the House who has ever done even one hearing to discuss the very serious issue of election corruption in the United States of America. So I'm putting y'all on high alert. That is some of the most high-level news. If election corruption is real, and I promise you it's real because I interview American patriots across America about this specific topic, why, if there is so much election corruption, why is it that there is not one person in the Senate, there's not even one member of the House of Representatives that is holding any hearing on the topic of election corruption? I'm going to leave you with that thought. I want you to have an incredible experience wherever you are in the world. I'm preparing to go to the President Donald Trump is speaking in Washington, D.C. tomorrow at the National Libertarian Convention. So I shall see all y'all on Monday night. I'm looking pretty yellow today. Sorry about that. I'm in weird lighting, but the bottom line is that you have to follow everything that I do because the satellite phone is becoming the key to our world. Sat123.com. This phone is key. When everything falls apart, you need to have a satellite phone. For everyone you care about, maybe 7 to 10% of the world is even covered by cell phone towers. But the satellite phone works no matter what you do, no matter where you are. So important. I love the antenna. The antenna that it comes with is phenomenal. And then they give you tons of accessories when you buy the phone. So you can use this in your car, in your RV, at any of the places that you camp at, in your house. Anywhere you are, you need to get the sat phone, especially if you travel internationally. This is the only phone that will work on boats, on ships, in remote locations. You need to go to Sat123 right now and purchase the satellite phone. Sat123.com. This is the key to everything. Sat123.com. Wherever you are in the world, the satellite phone works. Sat123.com. So important. I'm going to say it one more time. Sat123.com. This phone works wherever you travel in the world. Once again, Sat123. Sat123, it's so easy to remember. Sat123, Sat123. Anyway, I'm getting delirious. I've almost done a 6-hour show. Thank you so much. May the goodness bless your life. God bless you. Peace. Please donate to the America Happens Network. And if you want to donate to me and if you want to contact me direct, I have a 24/7 line open to all y'all. 917-287-1314. 917-287-1314. I'm going to end this episode of the America Happens News on the America Happens channel. May the goodness bless your life. God bless you. Peace. Divine providence is what they said. In 1776, they said. Divine providence to all y'all out there.